Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Wood Elves, going to be taking on the Vampire Coast. This is one of the matchups I didn't get to showcase in the early access time period just because I ran out of time, but we have this particular battle here that I fought on ladder that we're going to be having a look at today. Let's go ahead and take a look at my army here. We're going to be led by Orion, King in the Woods here. King in the Jungle currently, actually. He's backed up by a line of Glade Guards, some with Starfire Shafts, some without. We've got a line of Deepwood Scouts as well. 3 Deepwood Scouts and a single Way Watcher, as well as 2 units of Sisters of Thorn. And yeah, then we've also got a couple units of Dryads and a Branch Wraith here. Branch Wraith has got Earthblood and Awakening of the Wood, just in case we need to slow down those zombies even more. Meanwhile, for the Vampire Coast, we've got a couple of Mournghouls, a Mournghoul Haunter here in the center, whole line of zombie deckhands. We've got the Fleet Captain, Lamprey's Revenge, Gunnery Mob, Regiment of Renowned Prometheans, couple mortars, couple zombie polearms protecting, and leading the way is RNS Assault Spite. I'm not sure where she's at exactly, but she's somewhere in there. Looks like there she is. But yeah, you can see the Mournghoul Haunter immediately getting engaged on the Sisters of Thorn here. Sisters of Thorn unfortunately did not get that Horn of the Wild Hunt on the charge, but Orion comes in and just lays a beat down on that Mournghoul. With his anti-large bonus and with his great combat stats, he should be able to get some good work done. Granted, the Mournghoul is regenerating. We've got some crabs coming in for support. The crabs are taking some heat as I'm focus firing most of my bows onto them at the moment. Unfortunately, just due to their high health and their regeneration, haven't been able to take them down yet. We're starting to have to pick and choose some other targets as well. Meanwhile, in the back line, the zombie polearms unfortunately are just a bit too slow, and with the buff to Shield of Thorns, if we look here, it's not currently active, but since it gives physical resistance now, the Sisters of Thorn already have very high base physical resistance. They're going to take very little damage, relatively speaking, from these deckhands, especially with the Curse of Honor up, so we're going to be able to get in there and shut down those mortars relatively easily. Meanwhile, though, Orion in the back line, I actually missed it. My opponent had a non-overcast Winds of Death right down my archer line that actually did some pretty decent damage. Didn't actually kill any unit models, but the non-overcast Winds of Death I feel like isn't always worth it. Doesn't actually do that much damage at the end of the day, but it was still pretty solid. Did cost a lot of Winds of Magic, though. You can see the 2 Mournghouls coming in. We're going to block them up with the Branch Wraiths, and, with the Dryads, supported by the Branch Wraith. The Dryads will actually do quite well here. They're fighting in the woods. Mournghouls are technically large, so they are a little bit debuffed here. We've got that extra Shield of Thorns for more physical resistance. They're getting extra melee attack and everything, so actually not doing too bad. Orion, unfortunately, has been isolated in the front line. I have been able to pull him back. He's been getting netted by Aranessa. Of course, the Haunter has that chilling aura as well. We did hit this whole pocket with that Curse of Honor hair from some regrouped Sisters of Thorn. The Sisters of Thorn initially that had been with Orion there were routed off, but you can see the other one here. Able to shut down one mortar. We're going to be able to shut down the other one in just a moment there. These Weight Watchers don't really have that many good targets, so I don't really mind them getting zoned out by these zombies for now. Even if they get caught slightly here due to my poor micro, they're not really going to take that much damage, so I'm not really prioritizing them too much at the moment, kind of just holding them back until the late game. Meanwhile, this fight in the woods here, you can see we have been able to do some solid damage. One unit of Mournghouls actually crumbling there. The other unit of Mournghouls actually did quite a bit better. These guys are probably going to stabilize. Indication of a heck might stabilize this other unit anyway, but Orion desperately trying to get away from this bad situation here, which initially had been very favorable, but a very nice Spearfisher's Net by my opponent. And oh man, here comes the Haunter. Orion wasn't quite able to finish him off, so the Haunter comes through. We're trying to give some missile support as well, but man, that's almost creepier, just the Haunter like standing there sniffing him. Orion might turn around and get some attacks here, but yeah, with him being so low like this, the Cloak of Ishon will only help so much, especially with the Hornswaggle up, and Orion actually goes down there to the combined might of Aranessa and the Mournghoul, so pretty rough for me. That's going to keep the balance of power nice and even. We're going to go ahead and engage full kite mode here, and for those of you wondering, yes, this build is totally tournament legal. Max 6 360-degree shooting units. I don't know if there's a max number of ranged units in the new tournament rule set. I'll have to actually take a look But if I want to say it's like 10 or something, I'm pretty sure I'm right there. Anyway, just for those of you wondering, yeah, the last mortar is going to get taken out in the back line, so that threat's been neutralized, and because we're so much faster than the zombies and even the crabs to a degree, we're going to be able to get away pretty effectively here. You can see we're trying to kind of draw things out a little bit. The Morngul Haunter's just kind of chilling in the back still. Our Nessa's nice and separated here, though, so we're going to go ahead and try and focus fire her down if we can. You can see the Way Watcher's able to kind of operate into the center pocket here. Now going to start to focus fire, and as our Nessa takes these volleys, she doesn't have any missile block chance. She doesn't have any armor either, so even like the non-AP Glade Guard here will still do a ton of damage, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and turn and just look at the damage going down on our Nessa there. She just gets absolutely gatted here by the Wood Elf archers. Manan's luck popped a little bit late there to try and protect, but unfortunately our Nessa's leadership actually just gives out. She routes here, and as she routes, because elves can shoot on the move, well, these particular elves can shoot on the move at least, she is going to get hit while she's retreating here. You can see I'm pathing these two Glade Guard directly after her. And they're going to be able to shoot at her as she's running away and finish her off. That lack of leadership is going to be very key. You can see that does send this Morngul Haunter into crumbling, which is chasing down the Way Watchers. And you can see once that Chilling Aura hits, these Way Watchers are not going to be able to get away. Really like the pick of the Morngul Haunter here. I honestly think that rather than taking Arnessa is nice, but it might be worth it just to take the Admiral so that you can go double Morngul Haunter, get some really good value that way, but the Haunter loses its leadership and goes down that way. At this point, the balance of power has turned, a lot of units crumbling across the field. You can see the Sisters of Thorn taking out those two mortars cost a little bit of HP, a couple of unit models, but all said and done, very cost-effective trade there. The Lamprey's Revenge get gatted down by the Wood Elf bow line here, and the Tide of Skjold, who I failed to recognize as a Regiment of Renown, also crumbling away here, unfortunately. The Regiment of Renown zombies, but yeah, they're going to get in, do a tiny bit more damage in the late game here, but really the only thing that's still holding things up is this Fleet Captain at this point. Once the Fleet Captain comes into range, we're going to go ahead and try and get some focus fire on her. And I have to say, let's just go ahead and have a look. These Sisters of Thorn actually have the Shield of Thorns active. And if we have a look, they're basically ethereal. They have 62% physical resistance active right now. So yeah, the change to Shield of Thorns was a good change. Makes the spell a lot more useful. That being said, I think Sisters of Thorn might need a little bit of a nerf in terms of their base physical resistance. Because now with Shield of Thorns active, they get just ridiculous amounts of physical resistance. Makes them incredibly hard to take down if you don't have any magic damage. Both of these units of Sisters of Thorn, despite me ham-fisting them around, you know, with little to no skill throughout the entire battle, they have managed to survive quite well, considering they're a unit of light cavalry. 115 kills, XP Chevron here. The other unit, only one kill, but has also managed to get an XP Chevron. The support buffs in particular, that Curse of Honor and the new Shield of Thorns, super useful. They did get a price increase. They went from 1100 to 1200, but still, I think Sisters of Thorn could potentially use a little bit of an additional nerf in terms of their base physical resistance. But yeah, in terms of how this battle went, I do think that this is going to be kind of your archetypal way to take down the Vampire Coast as the Wood Elves. Obviously, a lot of Hounds might have potentially given me trouble here, although the Sisters of Thorn are sort of dual role in that they can definitely fight off direwolves and bats and things like that without any issues whatsoever. We'll go ahead and fast forward as it's just this unit of summoned zombies left. My opponent is going to admit defeat there. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. I know not all of you are a big fan of this playstyle, but like I said, I do think this is going to be kind of the archetype of how to take down the Vampire Coast as the Wood Elves. Really just are going to have a hard time getting on top of your ranged units because they're so slow, so you can generally kind of outpace them. You know, my opponent did make a comment about my army, which I definitely understand, and I told him, you know, sorry, I know this isn't super fun to play against, I'm just trying to come up with a good build, and he was a good sport about it, so thank you to LK10XXX here for yeah, being a good sport about it. He was definitely very understanding, so I appreciate that. But in terms of the build here, yeah, Sisters of Thorn, I already kind of said my piece about them. The Way Watchers did pretty decently, despite the fact they didn't get that many kills. They were able to help focus some elite targets, especially Arnessa there towards the late game. The Deepwood Scouts also, they were really the ones who got the most numbers here, and it may even be worth investing in the Swift Shiver Shards. I don't know, they are a little bit more expensive, but the regular Deepwood Scouts here just did work against those zombies. You can see the zombies all across the board just really struggling to get into contact here. And the Mournguls, though, did quite well. 93 kills and 25. Neutralized both unit of Dryads, no problem. And the Haunter, you know, plus Ardessa taking down Orion's very cost-effective as well. Lamprey's Revenge, despite getting focused pretty heavily by me early on, were able to kind of survive until the late game. And in that forest engagement, they actually got some pretty good work done. The Mortars, a little bit of an unfortunate pick there. You know, Mortars definitely seem like they would be decent in this matchup, but protecting them from Sisters of Thorn in particular can be very tricky, just because Sisters of Thorn with their new physical resistance and everything can really try and kind of open up the cookie jar. Or if you're really camping hard and like staying right next to your mortars, then the Wood Elf bows can come into range and just kind of shoot, you know, outshoot them. But in terms of the Vampire Coast build here, I think things are pretty solid. Like I said, I might go with the Admiral, just so that I can go with a double Mourngul Haunter. So if we go ahead and have a look here, the Admiral is actually pretty cheap. So if you take the Admiral Lure of Vampires, I like the pistol variant personally. It gives you a nice dual kind of hybrid roll. In terms of the spells, Dance Macabre, Invocation of the Heck, and Drown Dead are my typical ones. My opponent also had Wind of Death there, but it's kind of a gamble spell, and I'm not the biggest fan. Black Prept we're going to want to grab as well for some additional Winds of Magic recharge. And the Opal Amulet can be decent if you're getting Focus Fired also. The Crab makes her decently quick. She's not super duper fast, but this is going to allow us to go with the Double Haunter. I personally usually cut both of these abilities. If you want, Foe Seeker might be worth keeping on there if you're worried about chasing down units. But in general, this Chilling Aura, the missile resistance and everything, the stock, the you know, terror and everything, Vanguard, is going to be quite useful for the Haunters. And then, yeah, back them up with a couple more units of Mournguls, something like this. And then rather than going with so many deckhands, because you can mostly expect, I mean, granted, sometimes maybe the occasional Wood Elf player will bring like some crazy rush build, but in general you can expect more missile-centric builds, I feel, in this matchup. So the Mortars, not a bad idea if you can protect them, but it seems potentially a bit rough. Let's see. I'm just thinking here. Probably the gunnery mobs actually with pistols. If you go back and watch Total Brohammer just recently booted up their channel again, and I actually had the opportunity to play a couple battles with Sakarma. I did get into Wood Elves versus Coast battle in that stream. It did take place in the early access period, so unfortunately that replay is no longer usable. But if you guys go in and watch that, if I can remember, I'll link it down in the description below. You guys will see there that Sakarma had actually a similar build like this. The Drown Dead, if you overcast it, I believe, it looks like there is actually no spell for this in terms of the actual spell browser. That's interesting. I believe, I want to say that you actually summoned a unit of the pistols if you overcast it, so you can potentially do that as well. You know, maybe a few melee zombies is not a bad idea. And then, yeah, Lamprey's Revenge we want to grab. And then, yeah, something like this I think might be pretty solid. I don't know, just kind of spitballing here again, but definitely from that replay I can say the Mournguls are probably going to be pretty decent in this matchup. And I think that maybe rather than trying to get your zombies into melee, if you just try and support with your guns, just shoot back at the Wood Elves as much as you can, I think that might work out a little bit better. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.